Hi, good afternoon. I'm Angela Thomas. I'm the accompanist here at First United Methodist Church. I'd like to thank you for tuning in this afternoon. I'm going to start with a piece called Meditation on Guidance and Care. It's got two hymn tunes in it, two familiar hymn tunes. Let's see if you can figure out what they are. That piece is called Fugue in G Major. It's by Handel, the same Handel that wrote The Messiah. Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, who was the king of fugues, probably would listen to that and would tell Handel that it was not a very good fugue, and then they would proceed to have a fist fight because both of them were known to be prone to that. And Bach even was jailed one time for being involved in a fist fight in the town square in the city where he was living at the time. But a fugue is your little music theory class for the day. Is a fugue is a piece of music that where the composer has been given a puzzle that he has to put together. And the one puzzle piece that he has to use over and over is a little snippet of rhythm or melody or both. And in this case, it's... And you'll hear that several times in Handel's fugue. And that's why, because you only hear it several times, it's not really that much of a fugue. In Bach's fugues, you would have heard it over and over. I'm going to play another fugue. I played this on Sunday, and because I worked so hard on it, I'm going to pull it out and make you listen to it again. But it's also a fugue. This fugue is written by contemporary composer Cindy Berry. Cindy Berry writes a lot of music for the church, particularly for choirs and piano. Cindy Berry has a connection to Madisonville. Her son, Daniel, is married to the former Emily Lutz, from here in Madisonville. Daniel was at one time the campus minister at UK, and he's since gone on to pastor a church in Indiana. But she's got a little bit of a connection to Madisonville. The fugue thing that you'll hear over and over, and the thing that makes it a really good fugue, is that she constantly inserts. You'll hear that over and over. Handel didn't do so good, but Cindy Berry, she did a great job. This also hides a hymn tune in it, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to have to see if you can figure it out.
that hymn was, of course, "Oh, Worship the King." If you're following along in your hymnal, it's hymn number 73. The next four hymns that I'm going to play are all going to be from your hymnal if you'd like to follow along. "Oh, Worship the King" was written by, it'll say in your hymnal, Robert Grant, but he was actually known as Sir Robert Grant. He was a son of one of the founders of the East India Company and was born in India. He also served as a member of Parliament from Scotland, and he ended his career as the governor of Bombay, where he established a medical college that still exists there today. The next hymn is number 133, "Leaning on the Everlasting Arms." That was hymn, If You Will Only Let God Guide You, and it's translated from an old German hymn. The first verse I thought was appropriate. Everything that I chose today was, I believe, on the section in the index that's under the hymns that's entitled Trust. And so you can look under there for more inspiration for trust under there. But the first verse of this hymn says, if thou will only let God guide you and hope in God through all your ways, God will give strength whate'er betide you and bear you through the evil days. Trust in God's unchanging love builds on the rock that cannot move. My next hymn is number 337, Only Trust Him. The last hymn that I'm going to do is entitled Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior. It's a very old hymn, and with a lot of older people, it will be a favorite. But theologians don't like Pass Me Not, O Gentle Savior. They complain that the text talks too much about me. Pass me not while on others thou art calling. Do not pass me by. It espouses a belief that somehow we worship a God that might check up on other people but just kind of neglect to check in on us. And that's really not, that's not what any of us would say we believe about God. And yet, even though the theologians don't like this hymn, it shows up in our hymnals in all denominations over and over, because this hymn speaks to some very strong human emotions. And I've seen several times on Facebook this week, people have talked about how depressed they have become. We're isolated in our homes for the past, 7 or 8 weeks. We're not getting exercise. We're not eating like we ought to. We're watching too much TV. We're isolated from our friends. And depression has set in. And sometimes when we're depressed, it affects the way we look at God and his care over us. And I think that that's what this hymn gamut of the human emotion. The prophets and the saints have all been through periods when they were clinically depressed. I think we can all relate to that. And as you listen to this hymn, think of somebody that you might need to call on. Thanks for listening today.